Somewhere deep in the Ozark woods lurks the two people everyone tries to avoid the most. If you're not careful, they may find you before you find them.
All right, guys. So NBC Sports NFL sideline reporter Michele Tafoya has gone missing, right? Or at the very least, she's been missing from the sidelines. Now, she's been missing after her appearance on The View, where she made some comments that are now being put under the microscope because everybody's been wondering, like, why is she not on the sidelines? Like, what's going on here? And
Okay, let's see if he says something about what their excuse is. She said something about Colin Kaepernick, and then now she's not been on the sidelines during, but then the broadcast company says that all of the sideline reporters have bye weeks, and it's just she's been on her bye weeks since that, and it was already scheduled on the calendar. Nothing special, it's just she's not in trouble for anything that she said, and she will be back. Just right now, she's on her bye week, or bye weeks, or weeks off during the football.
Okay, because I'm like, what's the bye week?
That's when you're when on a football schedule, because there's more teams than there are slots. Every team has at least one bye week where they don't play. They don't play, so they've got they can rest and recoup and go over, and it's like their version of halftime. You got a week off where you can, but see what's sad is the very first week of the season, if you're unlucky, could be your bye week. But no, but that was her bye week. She didn't have to work or bye weeks. It sounded like they had like 2 weeks off or something. But anyway, that's what I read on the news feed that I was reading, and I was wondering if somebody was going to pick up on this. But they're saying that she's not in trouble. She'll be back. But let's see what he has to say.
now, all of a sudden, there are reports that she no longer will be a part of the NBC sideline reporting team after this NFL season. So a lot of people are wondering, like, why is that? Why is she having her roles changed, right? And this, again, seemed to happen after her appearance on The View. Now, during her appearance on The View, she said some things that probably the woke revolutionaries and the woke corporate media is probably not gonna like. Now, Miss Tafoya describes herself as a pro-choice, conservative, libertarian-leaning person, right? Which basically means not that religious, but probably physically conservative and not woke, right? Which is a whole lot of people. There's more people than you think that are like that. But yeah, so
That's where we're at. Don't you consider us that? Fiscally conservative,
Yeah,
non-religious, lean towards libertarian. I mean, libertarian's as close as we can get to anarchist. Constitutionalist and a libertarian, that's about the closest we can get to a true, because true anarchy can't exist in a society with more than, see, how many people do you think you could? 5. You got more than 5 people in close proximity for any length of time. Anarchy cannot exist. It's gonna be chaos. You okay?
Mm-hmm.
Your ears are sweaty?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're thinking too much. It's building up heat, steam comes out your ears. I can see it coming out your nose every now and then. You look like a stupid, one of those,
Stupid?
I said you look like one of those,
It's stupid.
well, I was going to say stupid power plants, but not all the stupid power plants have the steam coming out the top of them. Yeah, so, I mean, you didn't let me finish my sentence.
Wow.
I could have said, those like you remind those stupidly beautiful women that you run into but could never meet. Huh? Well, you don't know that's not what I was going to say. You don't know that. I think it's hateful on your part to think negatively of me. I mean, I just saying for a friend. You know. What you got? Oh, sausage. It's not even midnight yet. You're fixing breakfast? Okay. Huh?
Getting ahead of the game.
Okay. What about the bacon that's in there?
You want bacon?
Yeah, why don't you cook up that bacon with it too?
How about you put it in there first?
Well, no, because if you're gonna put it, you don't want to put just if you no, that's fine. Just
Put the bacon in here?
yeah, in the pan with the sausage.
Okay, with the sausage, stroke it. Just gonna put liquid in the bottom and I have to cook it longer. That's what I said, how about I just air fry it? Because it was all drained into the basket in the bottom of the thing.
If you put it all in that little metal cake pan that fits in there, and then just I mean, or put it in the air fryer. That's fine.
Where's the bacon?
In the back refrigerator. I mean, no, you can use the air fryer. It's just that if you're not careful, then you overcook it. Because it cooks so fast. That's all I was saying. You'd get in here and sit down, and we'd get to talking and forget about it, and then we go back, and
Got burnt bacon.
it'd be jerky.
Let's see, it'll be cake.
Cajun. Why don't you go ahead and wash the peanut butter off those glasses? Anyway.
She went on a view and she said some things that.
Oh, that's right. You can't hear it. Well, we'll go ahead and pause this. Let everything catch up. We'll be back. All right. Got stuff bacon cooking and sausage cooking and no eggs though. Let's finish
It's
watching.
too early for eggs.
It's
What I mean is we have to get that done first before we make eggs.
Oh, I know.
You want eggs?
No.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
People believe led to NBC basically making this decision, taking her off the sidelines. Now, I watched a lot of that episode to see exactly what she said because a lot of people are saying it was just about Kaepernick, and I think it's actually more than just about Kaepernick. She said some things about the virus that we're not really going to get into. She also said some things about race being taught in school that I'm going to show you guys in a clip. And she said some things about Kaepernick as well that is counter to the woke narrative about why he's not in the NFL. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and play the clips of her having this conversation about race being taught in schools and Kaepernick, and then I want to give you guys my opinion. Take a look.
No, my kids in school, there is a big focus on the color of your skin.
How old are your children?
My children are now 16 and 13. Okay,
In what way?
It's been going on since they were in lower school, all right? And it is that there are affinity groups on campus for, my son's first best friend was a little African-American boy. They were inseparable. Get to a certain age, they start having what's called an affinity group, which means you go for lunch and pizza with people who look like you. Suddenly, my son wasn't hanging out with him anymore. His next best friend was a little Korean boy. Years, inseparable. He started going to his affinity groups. Why are we even teaching that the color of the skin matters? Because to me, what matters is your character and your values.
Yes, but you know, you live in the United States. You know that color of skin has been mattering to people.
Oh, okay.
We change it that it
Well,
doesn't.
we need white people to step up and do that.
But I think that we.
Whoopi. I don't think that white people wake up every morning worrying about what black people might say to them during that day, or what might happen if I have to go outside the house and have interaction.
That's not what she's saying.
No, she's saying that white people must step up and recognize, Whoopi said that color matters in the United States. This lady said, why can't we change that? Whoopi says the white people got to step up, okay? White people don't think about color.
She's implying that white people are the ones that put the color label out.
But it's not.
Okay.
It's the black, because the blacks keep bringing it up. Even the browns and the yellows want them to shut up. I mean, that's just it. It's just the blacks keep bringing it up. And it's not the whites, the browns, or the yellows that keep this out there. Everybody else wants it to go away. So, Whoopi, jeez.
Doing that since the Civil War, and I'm not saying
No, they haven't.
What do you mean they haven't?
They have, listen, when you have a country or a state, let's talk about a state where somebody can be hung from a tree and it's okay.
That's not okay.
Well, it was okay. It was okay in the South. I just wanted to put my 2 cents in on the Colin Kaepernick conversation.
I know student
and why is he not working? It's like the guy
he's not
taking a Netflix series.
He's not working.
Why isn't he playing football?
He's not playing in football, Joy, and that's a very good question because he's still ready to play in football. He took a team to the Super Bowl. The reason he is not playing is because other owners have colluded together.
I think we need to be.
He's not playing because he was getting ready to be cut because he got them to the Super Bowl, but he wasn't skilled enough to get them past that point and win the Super Bowl. His backup quarterback was chosen to replace him, and he knew that no other team wanted him because he was too hard to work with. His teammates did not like him because of his attitude. And his attitude dragged the team down, so there was not cohesion, so they could win the Super Bowl. It takes super focus and commitment. And when you've got the main guy on the team causing division in the locker room, there's not super cohesion, and you're going to get your butt kicked in the clinch. And they did. The team knew that. He'd been spoken to about his attitude, and he wasn't going to change. He knew he was on the way out. So now he was setting himself up a platform because he knew no other team wanted him. So he had to make a scapegoat. So he made this whole thing his scapegoat. And now, see, this is the reason why. No, you were incompetent. You weren't worth the money you were demanding. So nobody wanted you. And it got bad enough that even when you were willing to take a pay cut, still nobody wanted you. The one time you had an interview to go in and talk to a team, you fucked it up in the interview. You had a chance till you opened your pie hole. That's the reason why he's not working. But you got these stupid people that have an agenda that they've got to sell, and they're going to twist it to sell their agenda. Die with the lie. Okay, we're good. Hi.
Really careful about that accusation.
Well, there was a
because we
settlement.
don't have,
there was a settlement.
So,
and they paid him.
He knows
And the reason that he is not playing is because he took a stand for other people in this country, and he lost everything because of the stand that he took. And there is no owner in the NFL to this day that has the courage to take him back.
a lot of
the
teams have
courage to
tried
take
him
back.
out. I will tell you that. I know my stuff too on this. A lot of teams have tried him out, and he didn't lose everything. In fact, I would say he's gained a whole lot. He is now a leader of a movement. He's got a Netflix series. He's got Nike endorsements.
He lost the one thing he wants to do.
Well, you know, I don't get to do what I want to do either. And sometimes life just ain't fair. And it sucks.
But that's the reason he's not doing it. The reason that he lost it is to me a BS reason.
So when he held an open tryout last year, and at the last minute, he moved it 50 miles away. So everyone who showed up for his tryout was like, where's Colin?
The reason that he moved it is because they wanted him to sign an agreement that no other player would have signed. They wanted him to sign an agreement that was
said what?
It
said don't take it.
and I can't recall. I hope somebody can tell me in my ear. But they wanted him to sign an agreement that would have precluded him from either pursuing what would have been his right to pursue. It was something along those lines, and he refused to sign it.
I think I just want to give the benefit of the doubt to some people that there are two sides to this story. I think we can all of us can agree that there is probably a lot to this story we still don't know.
I'm not sure.
You're all going to groan
I'm
at
not
me.
sure.
Okay, bring
I'm
it
not
on.
sure.
Bring it
People
on.
feel
That's
like
the beauty, honey.
people feel that they saw what the big picture was, and I think people didn't like
And there are people playing
We'll be
in
right
football
back.
that aren't as good as he is.
Oh, bullshit. I mean, it just...
Bruh, they really got to change the format of this.
Bunch of cackling hens. These are the people that only read...
show. Okay.
They are the only ones that take sources that agree with... This is the reason why I do not like peer review documents and peer review magazines, because they only accept the articles that support the established viewpoint, because there's too many people that have got their careers dedicated to a point of view, and then now all of a sudden the science is starting to show that they were wrong, and they don't want that. I mean, plate tectonics was only a theory until the 60s, because there was too many scientists, and it was a meteorologist that figured out plate tectonics. It wasn't a geologist. It was a meteorologist studying ice flows that figured out plate tectonics. But the geologists were so ingrained in their career into these other philosophies and the battles between them, and plate tectonics would have wiped all the theories off the board, so nobody wanted it. So they fought that for it's like 40 years. No, and then finally, after World War II, and then all of the ocean sonars, there was some survey going on, and they wanted a much broader and defined oceanographic survey. So they had some naval officer anyway, and he started noticing this pattern because he'd read in college. I'm piecing the story together, but he became familiar with this meteorologist because this captain was into part of the weather studies and stuff. Anyway, and he was familiar with the meteorologist's theory on plate tectonics, and as they were running the sonar scans of the ocean floors, he started seeing all the signs that reflected exactly like the meteorologist said the ice sheets would look like when they're colliding and one's going under and other. He said, if you see, this is what the ocean floor should look like, because, and bang, it did. And until they had that hard you can't dispute this evidence, then that's when they said, oh, okay. Well, now we got the scientific evidence, we can go ahead. The day before, if there had been a scientist that had submitted an article touting plate tectonics the day or the week before that data was, that peer review would have said they were full of shit. No, we won't publish you. But then a week later, oh man, yeah. See? When you've got your life committed to something, you're going to fight to protect it, because you're not going to admit to yourself that you were foolish enough to not find all of the information. Even though technology may not have been there, you still should have had some doubt, because somebody else had some doubt, and that somebody else turned out to be right, and you're supposed to be just as smart as they are, so why didn't you you're not willing to accept this. So you're going to fight for your point of view no matter what. And so when you spent 60 years of your life, fighting for this cause that this is scientific fact, the earth is not round or whatever, whatever.
That's my aunt.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, this is the reason why I do not like peer review, because it diminishes the open talk. You know, this is how I think a peer review magazine should work. Whenever, and they should have like they do their committees on who reviews it, who this, like if you write a paper and submit a research paper, say on a volcanic island, and you're talking about the volcano, then that article will go to all of the volcanologists and stuff that are supposed to be that specialist and the expert in that field. And then if they say bullshit, then you don't get reviewed or you don't get printed. And you'll get a nice letter saying this is why. Okay, no. The magazine should print that article, but then at the top, it should, every article that is printed should have a cover page saying what, okay, like the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court says, yes, we passed this, but you'll have the dissenting voices because it'll be 6-2 or 6-3 or whatever. So that's how these peer reviewed. Okay, this article was submitted to our magazine for publication because of its topic. We sent it to these recognized experts in these fields, volcanology or whatever, because it's a and this is a synopsis of their opinion of the hypothesis in this article. Boom. Then they can go, they sent it to six people. The 6 people will have the little synopsis of what their expertise, and this is what I think of the art. This is my opinion, my professional opinion of the facts, and boom, boom, boom. And do they agree or disagree? And then you can read the article, and now you've got both sides of the story. If you want to know, if you read the article and then you want to go back to each one of these people and find out, okay, I want to find out why they disagreed. So now I am going to go in and read some of their stuff and some of their writings and their interpretation of data and see why, it gives you the opportunity to do the research instead of being lazy and letting somebody else determine that if it's quality enough for you to read. To me, that is the same as burning books. A peer-reviewed magazine or publication that will not publish a scientifically based article. I mean, even if it's off the wall, even if a flat earther wants to publish something, some new data that they've got to prove their point, we should see that, and then we can see that the stuff from the people who reviewed it that reject, and then we can do our research so that we can be informed. So if one of these individuals comes to us directly and says, this is what I think, we, as an informed individual, understanding his viewpoint because we were allowed to read his publication, we know your point of view. These are the arguments against it or for it or whatever, and it opens the door for conversation. Where the other is they're banning books, they're banning they're banning thought. And I don't agree with that. I don't agree with it at all.
I know them.
Huh?
I know.
Well, I'm just saying, and I'm just explaining to the kids or whoever else, this is the reason why, because you're banning thought. You're banning the open discourse. You're not letting parents into the school board meeting. You're taking books off the shelf at the library for whatever reason. I mean, it's just no. Just because it doesn't meet your criteria, who gives you the right to say what somebody can and cannot read or vid or whatever? You have no right to limit my knowledge, be it right or wrong. Because how can you judge the boundaries of right or wrong if you don't compare right and wrong side by side and see where the line's drawn? That's the reason why the line's so blurred anymore on where this stuff where does stupid stop and
Intelligence begins.
yeah, intellectual thought begin? They blurred that line because they're throwing away all of the information that's out there that they don't agree with. You know, I mean, it's just, as far as I'm concerned, if there's something that you want banned, that must be there's something in there that goes against what you believe. Okay, now let me qualify this. I'm not saying that the grade school library should have Penthouse and Playboy magazines in there. Okay, or I'm not saying I'm not condoning that books that are not teaching physiology or biology or some kind of medical.
Hold that thought.
I don't know if that I can.
Okay, well, keep talking.
Well, no, go ahead.
I gotta check this stuff.
Oh, okay. Unless you are teaching a topic where you need to be showing pictures of naked bodies, that are fully illustrated, and the discussion of the appendages or lack thereof on these illustrations is discussed, in anything below high school level should not occur. You know, because it's little Mary's and little Bobby's parents' responsibility and job and right and privilege to teach little Bobby and Sally why some kids' belly buttons are innies and some are outies. That was good. That was a good save. What? Come on. Come on. That was a good save. Go on. But you know what I'm saying.
Hey, how is it that, like, it seems like every single time there are two race hustlers, Whoopi and Sunny Holston, and a guilty white liberal, Joy Behar, they always gang up on the conservative, right? And Michele Tafoya there in that situation is playing the conservative. Okay, and to me, sometimes, you know, looking at these clips, I feel bad for Michele because you can tell that she feels like she's been ganged up on. They're just telling her, no, you're wrong, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, if she had somebody else there to kind of back her up, I thought the conversation would have been more balanced. But let's get down to the gist of what was talked about here, because in my opinion, I don't think it was just about the Kaepernick thing in terms of why she's not on the NFL Sunday Night Football sidelines anymore. I think it's about everything that she said. I think about the fact that she went on The View and basically showed the world that she has conservative views on certain
because I will admit, I did not go in and do the research to find a clip of because I just really don't care about watching that group of cackling hens for anything other than entertainment value, and I've got to be really desperate for that. So I read what was on the news feed and took that in and said, okay, there's more to this, but you know, anyway, I knew there was more to it, but then I also had great faith in that one of our young men that we enjoy watching would pick up, pull, and I'm lazy. They're my undergrads. They did the research. And thank you. I acknowledge that you did the research for me. Thank you. So now you're presenting this research paper with your research, and I'm evaluating it for you. Okay, I'm playing professor. I'm back to where I like to be, right? So I'm playing professor. Thank you for presenting your research for your little thesis presentation, and I will evaluate it. And I am now grading it. So we can say, yeah, that's what this is an educational channel. Our YouTube page is educational. You know.
Babe, you're not happy unless you're lecturing. And anybody who watches these videos will get that sense.
but I enjoy.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
But see,
You
I'm
said
not.
you're back in your element. You've been in your element.
But see, but okay, let's. What is what's the definition of a professor?
You tell me.
Somebody who professes wisdom or knowledge. That doesn't mean that you have to have a degree, even though I've got degrees. But if you look, that's the reason why in college, when we were undergrad or when we were graduate students, and we were teaching classes, we were told that we were to present ourselves not as graduate students, but we were professors. Because there is this distinction between your instructor, if he or she is a professor or a doctor. And if a professor comes in that has a doctorate degree, then you afford them the courtesy of calling them Dr. Smith instead of Professor Smith. But until you have your doctoral degree, you're only a professor. So anyway, so I enjoy being a professor because I profess some level or degree of wisdom and knowledge and understanding from my perspective, and this is an educational video, so it's an open discourse. Come at me with your perspective and let's talk about it. See? As long as we can do it in a civilized manner. But if you're going to come at me with stupid, then I am a what do they say, a mutually insured destructive type of person. Is that what they say, mutually insured destruction? Mm-hmm. You come at me and we're both going to die.
Mutual consent.
Well, no, in the nuclear arms races, we were supposed to all reach a level of mutually insured destruction. If you launch at me, I'm going to launch all I've got at you, and we're both going to die. So, when somebody comes at me with stupid, and with that intent, and, not being calm and open-minded, but that blinded, like a bull would, then it's mutually insured destruction. What was it? Wasn't Michael Knowles, Ben Shapiro. He says, I can be tolerant of somebody until they come up on TV and grab me by the neck and start shaking me like a rag doll and then threatening me. And then it's all politeness is off and it's mutually insured destruction, because I'm going to come at you with everything I got and I'm never going to say a pleasant word about you, so. And Ben Shapiro's a pretty excitable young man. I don't think I've ever seen him I don't think that man is capable of talking less than 80 words a second.
He do talk fast.
Or 80 words a minute. I guess it's 80 words a minute.
He does talk fast.
Yes. And the more excited he gets,
the faster he talks. Yep. I have to agree.
Yes. But anyway.
Issues, and I think that's a problem, right? That's a problem for woke mainstream media, right? So let's talk about the first thing, which was race in schools, which again, in my opinion, guys, it really blows my mind because listen to Michele Tafoya talk. She seems concerned as a white woman, right? She looks to be white, okay? That her sons, who I'm assuming are white, okay, I don't know, maybe they can be mixed race, but she's concerned about the fact that they're not able to eat with people that don't look like them, right? Like think about that. The conservative is saying, no, I'm concerned that my child is being segregated away from people who don't look like him, right? But the people on the left, the so-called racial justice folks, the people that's supposed to be against racism, are the ones that's like, no, race matters. And they literally have nothing to say about the fact that her main complaint is that her kids are being segregated in schools based off their race, right? In fact, you got Whoopi that responds to that by not necessarily addressing the whole segregation thing in school. She goes on this little guilt trip about what happened in the past, talking about things that are not happening today, okay? I don't think people are being lynched, and I'm not saying that it doesn't happen on an individual basis, but it's not systemic. It's not a systematic thing that's not happening today. to try to act like it is a thing that black people like collectively are going through is ridiculous. It's not happening like that. Right? So I thought it was fascinating to see that segment in which, again, you have the conservative that is flat out complaining that her kids are being segregated away from people that don't look like them. And again, if you listen to the liberals, you would think that conservatives are the ones that want segregation. But we live in a day and time, guys, where conservatives are actually the ones that are saying the same things that Martin Luther King talked about, right? Having a colorblind society.
But I think what the conservatives miss out on, this is how, so I can turn, because this is how it was explained to me by somebody who wanted segregation, a black person who wanted segregation, because to destroy I'm gonna say what he said, but use some of my terms. Okay, like when I say esoteric group, that means any group of people who identify with each other because of secretly known knowledge that's only inherent to that group. So that's my polite way of saying a racial group, the black community, the white community, I just say an esoteric group. So whatever you use as the identifier, you become an esoteric. Does that make sense? So that's the reason why I use that term. So anyway, this person said that the best way to destroy an esoteric group, my term for that meaning, is to divide and conquer. When you force us to go and spend time with people that are not in our esoteric group, then you're trying to destroy our esoteric group. We must be allowed to stay together, the tribal mentality. We must be allowed to stay together so we can maintain our identity. They do not want a society today. Martin Luther King, that world that I was born into and grew up in, we wanted a colorblind society. Today they don't, because of identity politics. Today they want their esoteric groups. So they want their color identified and recognized, or whatever their moniker is. So that's the reason why they say the right is trying to destroy their identities, because we're wanting you to stop getting together and banding together. You know, it's just like you dispersing a riot. You get all the rioters apart, you no longer have a riot. You just got a whole bunch of noisy people. And that's what they're claiming the conservatives or the right or the Republicans are trying to do. We're trying to destroy them and destroy their unity of thought and unity of commitment by forcing them to not associate with each other. Just like that when the British in Australia took all of the mixed kids, what was the name they had for them? They had a special name for them. Anyway, I don't remember the moniker that the British, but they took all the Aboriginal children or the mixed children away from the Aboriginals and forced them to go to white schools. That was the start. And then they started taking the full-blooded Aboriginal children, and we did this to Native Americans, took the Native American children away from their parents and sent them to white schools and taught them to be white and not to be Native American. They couldn't even speak their, because that was their intent on destroying the Native Americans. And it really was. You know, how wrong that it was very wrong. But at the time, the intent was pure. Well, Hitler had all the best intentions in the world to begin with. And see that where that ended up. Okay, so good intentions don't mean anything. It's the fruit of your labor. You know, like we've talked about on the garden thing, you know, God doesn't care what kind. He plants the seed. If you're wanting to be a religious point of view, God plants the seed. He doesn't care what kind of plant you grow up to be, as long as the fruit you produce is the quality of fruit that he wants, so that he will allow your seed to propagate into the next generation. But if he does not like the fruit that you produce, he will not allow your line to continue. He will eliminate you from the gene pool. These people that are into the gender fluidity and stuff, okay, and gender where the men are the women and the women are men, if they follow their lifestyle, they physically cannot reproduce. So God's not condemning them. He doesn't care that that's what they want to look like. He loves you because he planted you, and this is the tree or plant you grew up to be. But your fruit is not going to be viable, so he's not going to allow that thought process to continue to another generation.
Nope.
Okay, well, see, and that's, if you want to go from, that's how I would have taught when I was a minister, and somebody would say, how do you support all of this? I said, because God loves them as let's go, my garden. He planted the seed. This is what it grew up to be. That plant, it was going to be influenced by all of the environmental pressures put upon it, the soil, the rain, the environment. And this plant planted here, and the sister or brother or whatever twin seed was planted miles away over there. They grow up into entirely different environments. They're from the same seed stock, but because of environmental pressures, they look different. And they're the fruits of their growth, the fruit that they produce, their seed that they produce, is going to be affected by its environment. And if the environment produced a seed that's not viable for the copying of the genetic code that was in the original mother plant, the seeds won't work. God doesn't hate the plant for what it turned out to be. He loved the plant. It's just the environment did not allow it to grow up to be to meet his expectations. So he's not going to allow the seed to propagate because he doesn't want that bad fruit to continue. This is what I look at in these individuals. They want to if man wants to think he's a woman, do whatever you want. You are showing God the fruit that you're going to produce. He knows that in whatever environmental pressures were to put upon you, because I have family members that are into this, that are into the esoteric group of gender dysphoria, and I know the moment that it happened, and I know the reason why. For this individual, I know for a fact that it's not genetic, it's environmental, because of what this individual went through. And I know the exact moment that it happened, and I know the event that triggered it. So to sit there and tell me that it is a natural thing, no. It is a response to environmental pressures. Now, your genetic code that you have in you is predisposed for a set optimum environment to flourish to 100%. But the probability of you growing up in that optimum environment is not good. But that does not mean that you cannot flourish to the best of your ability in the environment that's forced upon you. And then if your genetic code allows you to still flourish to your maximum, then God will allow your seed. As a farmer, those are the seeds that we'll take, because that's how you get drought resistant produce because it's grown from the plants that prove that their genetic makeup was they can thrive with little to no water if necessary. So that's saying, and people are the same way. I mean, just through but God doesn't condemn them. He's still going to love them because he put energy into them and he put love into them. So he's not condemning them. He's just not letting that thought or that seed produce. That's how I would have explained it. So I do understand it from the religious point of view, and then also from the scientific evolutionary point of view. I can explain it perfectly from both points of view. So to insinuate that I can't is to not understand my background and my, how I actually lived under one and then started seeing evidence at a young age that this doesn't seem right. And then when I got to an adult and to the point that I had good critical thinking skills and then the resources to go back to school and to study the other side. So I went from theology to geology and realized that, you know what, there's too much over here that prove that the way that universe, there's too much within that universe that proves that universe can't exist as it's understood. So it's too simplistic. It's just like in grade school you're taught that Columbus discovered America. That's just a simple enough view to say that somebody from over in that part of the world came over here and discovered it. They don't tell you about Leif Erikson and the Vikings and that they were over here first because it's too questionable. This we can prove. This is easy to understand, and you'll get fewer arguments. So it's the lazy man's way out, and that's what they do with religion. It's the lazy man's way out of explaining events that can't be scientifically explained, through observation or whatever. But then when I started the scientific and looking at things that are totally ignored over here, these facts are ignored because they're so inconvenient. And if you look at enough of them, it's just like it's a slap in the face. Like, no, it can't be that way. It's like Newtonian physics only works at every level above atomic. Anything subatomic down, Newtonian physics goes out the window and does not work. Why? We don't know. We're still trying to explain it. What? Oh. I'm sorry. Okay. Oh, well, we'll go back over here.
Rabbit hole. Because you explain the same thing.
Right? Race not matter.
Rabbit hole.
Okay?
Well, but that's the way people who think differently can.
I get it. But then you were starting to rambling and blend. Rabbit hole.
Okay. But see, I still got
You still got it.
some cognitive function.
Everybody coming together regardless of their race. Conservatives are the ones that seem to be pushing Martin Luther King's dream. Liberals, on the other hand, / progressives, seem to actually be going backwards, right? They want to go backwards on this issue. They want segregation. So again, I found that to be fascinating. And of course, we get to the Kaepernick conversation, in which Michele Tafoya is 100% right. Okay?
You want me to stop it?
These people, right, on The View, they're either ignorant about what happened with Kaepernick or they simply just want to push a narrative. I think it's probably a little bit of both, okay? Because I don't expect them to really know how much about football and what's going on. They just know a narrative and they're going to push it. Michele is right. Kaepernick had plenty of chances to get back in the NFL. Numerous teams gave him a tryout. The fact of the matter is that Kaepernick does not want to play in the NFL. The reason why Kaepernick does not want to play in the NFL because Kaepernick knows that he can make more money and not risk getting noodle brains, right, from playing football by just being a so-called social justice activist. Kaepernick knows that. He has no intentions of ever trying to get back in the NFL because he doesn't want to. Kaepernick knows that the appearance or the illusion of him being blackballed by the NFL as a black quarterback is profitable. He knows his whole brand is built off of that. His whole identity as a social justice / racial martyr is built off the idea.
Yeah, Kaepernick set himself up as a martyr, and he knows that it's more profitable for him to continue to be a martyr than it was to be a football player.
That's it then.
And then like he said, it's and now he's got. Ow,
I knew it.
you broke your glasses. And now he doesn't. And this way, he doesn't have to worry about becoming a noodle brain from playing football.
Yep.
We'll
I've been said that.
we'll have to go get them fixed.
You can't fix them. They're broke. I need new glasses.
After the first of the year, we'll go down to that place in Springfield. Yeah, get the two pair for whatever. Well, we've got the microscope up at the house. Robin Lynn's got a little steadier hands, so we could request her assistance. But anyway,
that he is being blackballed for the NFL. So he literally can't get back into the league if he wants to continue pushing that and making money off of it. That's why when the NFL gave Kaepernick a tryout, right? The NFL gave Kaepernick a tryout. They've never held a tryout where 32 teams showed up to see one person, right, throw a football that hasn't been in the league for like 2 or 3 years. They held a tryout for him. Kaepernick moved the tryout to a different location at the last minute as a way to sabotage the event so that would give the NFL an excuse not to sign him. Therefore, he can still say, I'm being blackballed from the league, right? That's what happened. If Kaepernick actually wanted to be back in the NFL, he would not continue to come out here and make statements about how the NFL is some type of slave plantation and that NFL football players are slaves. Okay, which again is a ridiculous comparison in and of itself, considering that NFL players are paid millions of dollars per year to voluntarily play a sport. Now that was something that Joy Behar was saying.
enslave me, baby, enslave me.
Them the richest damn slaves I've seen in my life.
Enslave me, baby, and they're fed well. They got women brought to their suites when they win jewelry, like rings and stuff. I mean, they're doted over. They got when you talk about OSHA being jealous, when these people go to work, they have professional medical personnel standing there watching them just in case they have a hangnail or something. They'll take them in and do a CAT scan right then and there. These people care. I bet you the people enslaved that were enslaved back in the 1800s, 17 and 1800s, if they'd have heard about that kind of medical care that these slaves today in the NFL have to go through, I think the slaves back there would be pissed off that they were shortchanged. Slavery's come a long way, don't you think? Paid millions of dollars, get top-notch health care.
Got some of the best equipment to work with.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know these things.
I mean, slavery's come a long way. Enslave me, baby, enslave me.
Sorry, you're not the right color.
That's racist. It's here in the heart. I guess it's or something like that. Or anything you do with your hands anymore is wrong. You can't even do this. And you notice when I'm shaking my chocolate milk all the time, I have to hold it up here so I want the kids to know that I'm shaking my chocolate milk and not shutting else,
Wow, babe, too.
Well, I mean, think about it. Like, we could get banned from YouTube because I'm choking the chicken when actually I'm shaking my milk.
Because you're being inappropriate.
Yeah, when I'm not, I've got my chocolate milk. So, but anyway,
That would be one of the rare occasions.
rabbit hole.
I know. You realize that?
That I had to cut out because I didn't want the clip to be too long. But she was essentially making an argument that these players don't have a choice but to play football because nobody wants to play football. That's a job that nobody wants. I'm sitting here like, what? Bro, I would give up everything, okay, to be in the NFL right now. When I grew up, all I wanted to do was play football and be in the NFL. Unfortunately, I was too short, right? I didn't hit the genetic lottery. So, again, if you ask most people on the street, I'm pretty sure they would love to be a star athlete that get paid millions of dollars, even if you're a scrub, right? And to get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to play a game, even at the risk of getting noodle brains, right? I think most people would take that and sign up for that.
See how he used the term scrub? That was how I originally thought before you and I had our conversation. A scrub was the person that dressed like a doctor, but was only a candy striper. You know, bench warmers. You got the uniform on, but you're just.
It can be used in that term.
Well, but they said that
you didn't
was.
know the other terminology.
I didn't know.
Part dating.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know the terminology that it was being referenced to in whatever our conversation was at the time, because this was the definition B in the dictionary of social terms. And so there's times that definition B is the totally opposite of definition A. You know, like raise and raise. One is to totally destroy, and one is to totally build. I mean, to build up from nothing. And the other one is to take. Oh. Okay. That's the dog chasing the rabbit away.
The opportunity to have generational wealth
Start
for the rest of their life. Again,
Okay, this is how we start doing it.
Kaepernick, compare.
When you start going down a rabbit hole, okay, I'm gonna be like Alice. Alice, start calling your ass Alice.
No. See, because you were when I had a dog kennel that called Robin Hood Kennels. I raised and bred beagles, but hunting beagles. These were for rabbit hunting. So whenever I start going down the rabbit hole, you could go.
No.
And then I go, what? And you go, I'm sniffing out a rabbit.
No.
Or you could point.
Alice.
You could point it.
Nope, your name is gonna be Alice.
And because you keep telling me this isn't Miss Kitty or whatever.
Hello Kitty?
Hello Kitty.
It isn't.
So this is my rabbit.
Alice.
My black-tailed rabbit.
Alice.
What?
The NFL to a slave plantation, an institution that has created more black millionaires than any institution in American history. And he continuously comes out here and makes comparisons like that about a league that he claims he wants to get back into. But for whatever reason, these people, these hosts on The View, these women, they can't make that connection, right? They leave out all those details. So yeah, don't sit and try to act like Kaepernick is some type of martyr, because he's not. He's not in the NFL because he doesn't want to be in the NFL. It's really that simple. It's not because he kneeled. It's not because of racism. It's not because he's being blackballed. It's simply because he does not want to play. And why would he? He's getting paid millions of dollars from Nike. So to sit here and act like Kaepernick lost everything. He lost nothing. And he gained the world. That's what happened. Unfortunately, guys, and I hate to say this, in the woke history books, probably 20, 30 years, 40 years down the road from now, Kaepernick will be in there more than likely as some type of civil rights hero. Again, unjustly, he shouldn't, but that's what's going to happen. And that's the way they're going to see this man. And, you know, the reality is that most civil rights heroes, real people that actually gave up something, they don't end up like Kaepernick. They don't end up with $1 million endorsements from Nike. But that's what he's going to get. So don't sit here and try to tell me that Kaepernick made some type of huge sacrifice, because he didn't. He gained everything from this. This man will never have to work a day in his life. because of this. I think he was mad because he got benched during the preseason, and then right after that, he started sitting on the sidelines during the national anthem. And when he was asked about that, he tried to make it about police brutality when he really had nothing to say about the issue before all that, right? He wasn't some type of woke social justice warrior before all that. How all of a sudden you become some type of civil rights leader overnight? Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. He latched on to a movement because he knew that he was about to lose his job. He wasn't that good anymore, and he ran with it. That's what happened. So again, these people, they keep having this boohoo cry fest for Kaepernick because he's not in the NFL, and I simply don't understand, because it's either they don't understand the story or they're just lying, right? That's all it has to be. Because anybody with common sense can see that Kaepernick simply does not want to play. But yeah, again, the thing here that really bothers me is that Michele Tafoya, because of her opinions that, in my opinion, are very accurate, right? It seems to me that she is facing some consequences at her job because of it. And again, this happens way too much. Just because you have a conservative opinion, just because you have an opinion that doesn't align with the mainstream media, doesn't mean you should lose your job, right? Or that you should face consequences for it. She said nothing on that show that, in my opinion, warranted her not being able to be on the sidelines anymore. And the strange part about this story is that apparently NBC Sports was cool with the things that she was doing, right? Michele Tafoya apparently has been very active in regards to being in conservative circles when it comes to politics. Her Twitter account apparently is very politically active. She's been outspoken about this stuff. Okay, but apparently this appearance on The View was a little bit too much, right? Allegedly. We really don't know, but it seems to be this appearance that.
Well, because she wasn't belligerent with her point of view, so it was on the down. I mean, and then she wasn't trying to hide it when I say on the down low. It just wasn't published in the newspaper because she didn't bring out her point of view at inappropriate times. Like when she's on the sideline talking about football, that is not the appropriate time to bring up her social economic views on society. So she did not do that. That wasn't the appropriate time. So nobody out there in the world that was outside her esoteric group did not know her point of view because they weren't around when it was spoken, because she kept it to herself and to those people that it mattered to. Just like your blood type. You don't go around telling people, "Hi, I'm
CD negative."
But I'm saying you don't go up and tell people. I didn't even know what it was. I don't, you don't know what my blood type is.
Yes, I do.
Oh, do you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So O positive. But I mean, you don't go up to people and introduce and say, "Here's my blood type," because that's information they don't need to know.
Sure.
I'll finish him up so we can go on, because I got another one here I see that I want to watch.
Has caused this to happen. Again, we don't know for sure. But again, it is just a shame that I even have to speculate that this might be it, right? Because, we do live in a world where this is what happens to conservatives. If you say your opinion, if you speak out, you are in danger of losing your job, okay? Or being punished for it because your opinion is not aligned with the woke narrative. And I think that's a serious problem going on in this country. It really is. So maybe we'll get more information about this. My gut feeling that this is politically motivated. Again, I don't know for sure, but that seems to be where this is pointing to. However, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.